Afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great afternoon. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. Welcome back today. And for those of you that are new to Tea Time Tuesday, we are glad that you are here. Good afternoon again. My name is Carmela Head. I am the Director of Renewal and Community Programs here at the Renewal Center in Concord, North Carolina. We are so ecstatic today. Actually, I'm streaming live on location from the Renewal Center. I'm in the thought room. The thought room is all around me. You get the other view from behind, which is the other part of our library here at the Renewal Center. And we are so excited to be with you this week. Actually, this week, we're going to be celebrating mental health awareness. So before we get started, let's tag your friend, invite your friend, call your friend, text your friend, let them know that the Renewal Center is streaming live and we are celebrating mental health awareness. So we're excited that we're going to stop and pause today, take time to reset like we always do. And we are so excited that you are joining us. Good morning, Tanya. Hello, Prophet Ho. I see Kina, Karen. Good morning to you. My father, Dr. Paul C. Brown, is on our Facebook Live today. Hello, Dr. Brown. I see Teresa. Okay, it's good to see everybody. Good morning, J.R. Leonard. How are you this morning? It's good to have everybody here. Hi, Karen. So excited to see everyone. And once again, if you guys are following us on our Renewal Center page, our Facebook page, we want to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all educators. We are ecstatic, excited about what you are doing as educators, and we thank you for your dedication and commitment to the field of education. So without further delay today, want to get started with the tea of the week. And actually, this month, we're going to be focusing in for the next 4 weeks in May. We're going to be focusing in on Black tea. So today, our tea of the week is English breakfast tea. And how many of you guys know about English breakfast tea? I think everyone knows about English breakfast tea. Actually, English breakfast tea is considered to be one of the most popular of all teas around the world, actually. And we're excited to be able to talk about English breakfast tea. It has a long history, so I'll be brief today, but it's a very flavorful tea. It is a traditional blend of black teas, very full body and very robust. It usually goes well rounded or paired with cream. Today I have cream. Hello, Nicole. How you doing this morning? I have cream in my tea this morning, and it's very good, very smooth. Sometimes people put a little milk, a little sugar, so whatever you're going to put in it, but it's very good, very smooth tea. It's considered to be the most consumed tea, and it's made from the Camellia sinensis plant. I know we talked about that when we talked about Earl Grey tea. It has a very rich history, English breakfast tea, so I encourage you to go out there and check it out, find out a little bit more about the history of English breakfast tea. And so remember, for the rest of the month, we're going to be focusing in on black teas here at the Renewal Center. And our book of the week, before I get started with the book of the week, you know, we always cover one book that centers around Tea Time Tuesday. But for this month, for our Mental Health Awareness Month, we're going to focus in on devotionals. So I know I have a lot of devotionals at home. How many of you guys have a lot of devotionals at home? And so we're going to focus in on different devotionals that you can take time out and reset yourself in the morning, or whatever time that you have during your day to just get away and take a pause. So today, our book of the week is True Vine. True Vine by Andrew Murray. This is our hard copy here in the Renewal Center stock room. True Vine, I'll read a little synopsis and then we'll move on to Tea Time Tuesday. It says, in this 31-day devotional, Andrew Murray draws upon the gospel parable of the vine and its branches to illustrate the beautiful relationship we are meant to have with Christ. Find out in these inspiring pages how you can dwell in God's rich love, receive answers to your prayers, weather life's difficult storms, establish unbroken communion with Christ, replace fear and doubt with lasting peace, rest in God's secure protection, produce eternal results. So the fullness of God's merciful loving kindness awaits you. This is a very, very good book. I was thumbing through it, and remember, we'll be focusing in on devotionals for the month of May. So that concludes my book of the week and tea of the week, and we'll move forward now with our executive director, Patrick J. Brown.
All righty. So good to be here, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. I am also on location in our administrative offices here with Carmela Head, and so we're excited. So let's talk a little bit about your tea. What are you all drinking today? Let's see what's going on with your tea today. All right. Let's bring it up, Teresa. All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Ooh, Teresa has green tea with lemon and raspberry.
Mm,
Nice, Teresa.
please share. Yes. So glad to be here. We want to welcome everyone. We're honoring our Mental Health Awareness Month and Teacher Appreciation Week. So for all of you educators, teachers, instructors, thank you so much for your servant leadership and the impact that you're having upon our children and our youth. So we want to honor you. And then, of course, Mental Health Awareness Week, month. So we'll be focusing all of our Tea Time Tuesdays on that. All right, let's see what else we got here. What's coming in here? Black tea and honey. All right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All righty.
Anything, Dad?
I see you. I see you. Black tea and honey. Let's see what else we got going. Spiced apple chai.
Oh, that
Uh-huh.
sounds delicious. That
Very
sounds
nice.
really
Very nice.
delicious.
I've got cream in mine today as well. I've got the English
Hmm.
tea, so got my cream. Mm-hmm. So as everybody is still sharing, please make sure that you tag someone, text your friends and your connections, let them know we're here for our tea time. So good to have everyone on. How are you, Keisha? Good afternoon to you. Thanks for coming in. What you drinking today? What's your choice of tea? All right,
Ooh,
glazed lemon.
that sounds good
Vanilla,
too.
with vanilla cream. Okay, okay. All right, Karen. Very nice. Very nice. So let's do our locate ourselves exercise today. I know that we're coming into the spring, and so one of the key things I want us to focus on today is as you think about spring, I want you to think about what it is that where's your head and heart space today as it relates to
Mm.
spring. Um, is there dew? Is there refreshing? Is there rain that's descending? What is it? Where's your head and your heart space today? All right. I want you to think about that as we take a moment to set ourselves. Let's see what else people are coming in here. Drinking water. All right. No tea today. Water with pineapple. All right. Got some detoxing and cleansing going on today. Lemon ginger. Okay. All right.
We have a
White
lot of lemon going on.
with honey and lime. I guess folks are, I don't know. So what's going on with the lemon day today?
Yes.
Lime, lemon, all this citrusy. Okay, very good. Good, good. Lemon tea with cayenne pepper. Okay.
Wow.
That's an interesting one, Michelle. We'll have to try that. White tea with honey and lime, lemon ginger. It's all the lemon going on today.
I know.
Detoxing. What's going on? This must be Detox Tuesday, I guess, huh? Propel. Okay. What is Propel? Is that water? Is that special water? All right. Well, I tell you, let's pause here for a moment. And I want us to take a moment to just calm ourselves and let's be in a place of peace. And I want you to think about locating yourself today as it relates to the spring that we're in. Where's your head and your heart space today as you locate yourself? As we are focusing on Mental Health Awareness Month, we want to take a time to pause. So let's just take a moment, if you will, wherever you are, and just pause for a minute. As you're meditating and as you're calm, I want you to think about where your head and heart space is today and just maybe share with us, locate yourself, your emotional state, your thought state. Where are you today? Share that with us. I'd like to hear from you because today we're going to be discussing how to take care of ourselves. So, as you're in your calm right now, I want you to think about where's your head and your heart space. Again, we focus on both. We don't just stay in the emotion and we don't just stay in the logical. We are congruent people, we're whole people, right? And so, just want you to locate your head and locate your heart space today. Now, as you and I are taking this time today, I want to focus specifically mental health awareness is really about taking care of yourself. And just like you have physical health, you have spiritual health, we have emotional health. And so it's important that we're able to specifically concentrate on that. So, again, Carmela, thank you for opening us up today.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, folks, let's focus today on taking care of yourself. One of the key things that I had learned through spending some time in grief recovery and also in caregiving, my father, Dr. Paul Brown, has a book out about counting it all joy and the importance of taking care of ourselves. And he was calling it TCOY. And to kick off our Mental Health Awareness Month, Tea Time Tuesdays, I wanted us to really focus specifically on areas that we can just think through and feel through to TCOY, take care of ourselves. And so it's good. I'm glad to see there's Selah moments, calm and at peace, a place of calmness currently. Very good. So, what we would like to share and talk through today is about how do we take care of ourselves. So, if you notice the screen, I just want to share a little bit about TCOY today as we start out with our Mental Health Awareness Month. And the three areas we want to specifically focus on today would be observation, description, and participation. So, well, what does it have to do with taking care of ourselves? And this is going to help us notice where we are and how important it is for us to concentrate on not being self centered, but having a centered self, having a self that is centered, and how important it is for us to have a centered self. So I'd like you to ask a question, and perhaps you can answer this. What does it mean to have a centered self? What does that mean to you? Centered self versus self centered. What does it mean in your life to have a centered self, and why are we focusing on that today? I just want to just open up and get some of your ideas and your perspectives on what it is to center yourself and why do we do this? Why do we take time, like in a Tea Time Tuesday, to center ourselves? Wanted to hear your thoughts. And I think let's build our community today, if we will, so that we can really share and mutually edify each other in our tea time today. Sometimes we have conversation when we're in tea time. Sometimes we're just reflecting. And we started out with locating ourselves. So I'd like to hear from you. What does it mean to have a centered self? What are your thoughts on that? And why do we do that? Why do we focus specifically on centering ourselves? Today's discussion, I wanted to share just a few points to help us in our journeys in centering ourselves and taking care of yourself. And how do you do that? No one runs through a house and you stub your little toe, and then once you stub your little toe, you just look at it and you don't respond. Your whole body responds to that pain. Your whole body responds to that little toe being impacted. All right. And so, even if there's an area inside of us, our head and our heart space, we want to center ourselves and respond to what's happening in our lives. So, let's hear. Okay. For me, centered equals balance. All right. Thank you for that. What else? Anybody else? Balance. And I think that's something we can glean from that as well. How are we balancing our lives? Are we too much into one area or we're not? Sometimes we're overgiving or overdoing this. And so we need to pull back a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing that. Let's hear what else is coming out here. a balanced self-care of every area of you as a whole person. Again, balance. Wow, we're hearing that. So there's balance. There's another one about balanced self. Somebody else is here. Let's see. There's clarity. We want to be clear about where we are. All right. Thank you for sharing that. As I center myself, I feel grounded and calm. All right. Grounded and calm. Let's elaborate that. Let's unpack that, Karen. When we say grounded, what does that mean? If anybody wants to respond to that, what does it mean to be grounded? We're learning from each other today. Thank you for sharing that. Inward focus, looking inside, inward. So that's not self centered, that's centering self to say, I got to take a look inside of myself. Thank you for sharing that. Not taking on too much, not taking on too much. That could be saying yes and saying no. Very important that we focus on that. Thank you. Grounding in things that are central to who I am. Ooh, another word, grounding. Grounding in things that are central to who I am. Thank you so much for that. Mhm. Centered, self balance, and focus. We're seeing clarity, focus, taking on balance. A lot of great comments that are coming out here. I think of being anchored and assessing what my anchor is. Hmm. So, what are we grounded in? What is anchoring our lives? Thank you for sharing that. Well balanced. A lot of great comments coming in today. By being grounded, it balances out the negative and positive. Ah, okay, that's an electrical term. Thank you for sharing that. The ground wire. Okay. Independently focused. hmm Independently focused. Looking inside independently. If you're taking notes, these are some wonderful ideas that I think we can absorb as we take care of ourselves. Grounding for me is being anchored in your foundation, whatever that may be. We got to have an anchor. Uh-huh. Thank you for that. Balancing and focus. A lot wonderful ideas that are coming forward today in our tea time. Folks, and I want us to make sure that we're really focusing specifically on centered self. The entire month of May, let that be your complete focus for your month. When we talk about mental health awareness, it is about centering yourself, your emotional self, your mental self, your intellectual self, your psychological self. All those are involved with our centered self and the importance of that being grounded, emotional stability. All right. So these are ways that all of us here are talking about the importance of centering ourselves. And in tea time, I think we need to think about that. So, based upon these affirmations that people are sharing right now, let's take a moment and let's think about that. Let's meditate on what is shared. And I'm going to bring up some of these answers so that we can continue to feed off of each other, if that's okay. So, take a moment and look at some of the comments. Let's take a moment here and think about how we center ourselves. And let's really take a time to locate ourselves collectively. The fact that we're taking a pause today to center ourselves is one of the most powerful ways we can be aware of our mental health. And so I'd like to share with you, if you can look at the screen, three areas to take care of yourself. First area is observation. Pay attention to where you are. Sometimes we're moving so fast. We have so many meetings, so many demands that we don't have time for observation. I want us to think about and encourage you to think about observation and paying attention to where you are, the importance of observing your life, observing your physical body, observing stress indicators, and observing your life. You know, it's interesting when when Sometimes I'm shaving my head or whatever. I'm in front of the mirror. It's always nice to have a larger light because you can see everything. You know, if you've ever applied anything, cream to your face, or you're washing your face, when you have all those large light bulbs, you can see more. That's observation. You're observing, you're seeing areas that you want to work on. And it's important that we observe where we are mentally and observe emotionally. And we do that in prayer. We do that in quiet time. We do that in devotional time. We do that in mindfulness. We do that in meditation. Why do we do that? Again, it goes back to all these answers, centering ourselves. So let's take time to think about, how do you observe yourself? How do you observe? How do you pay attention? How do you pay attention to where you are and why you are the way you are? So that's important, that we look at observing ourselves. And so I want to encourage you, perhaps as a suggestion for Mental Health Awareness Month, to just take some time at observation, but also take a look at description, describing what do you see. And I'm bringing that up because if you name something, then you can be empowered to have some empowerment over it when you name it. So we move from observation to description. I can describe, saying what I see. So, for instance, if I'm angry, or if I'm experiencing a sadness, or I'm experiencing a hurt or a frustration, we want to make sure that we describe. There's description. That means I begin to answer why I feel the way that I feel, or why am I thinking what I'm thinking. Not just saying, I'm just hurt. Okay, well, why are you hurt? I'm angry. Well, why are you angry? Right? We want to make sure that we're able to be detailed, right, about what we see. Thank you for sharing that, Carmela. Being detailed about what we see. And again, we're talking about our inner world, our head and our heart space, because once we're able to bring description to it, when we describe it, that gives us power over it. When we're able to name it and describe it, it's kind of like when you and I go to our annual physicals, right? We get blood work, they do different analysis, and so when the report comes back, your primary care physician will walk you through a description, a detailed description of your labs, and then you can name it. Okay, this is what's going on here. Here's where I am in my triglycerides. This is where I am in my blood sugar. This is where I am in this. That number indicates where I am. So it's important, when we describe something, then we can have power over it. I look at my reaction to things. How I respond helps to locate where I am. Absolutely. So observation and description. That's the emphasis today, as we're focusing on taking care of yourself. If I can just share briefly with you, when I was going through some very difficult grief challenges, and going through loss, and going through other challenges in my own life several years ago, I began to notice certain parts of my hair began to fall out. Um, my goodness, my numbers were all over the place because I didn't take time to really observe what was going on in my body. Once I began to observe it and I began to describe it, then I was able to change because I was able to describe it. Now I had to own my stuff, right? I had to own where I was emotionally in order for me to move to the next part of participation, which is our third point today. So again, I remember those moments when so much was going on externally that I had to focus on recentering myself and spending time in observation. Sometimes observation is therapy, counseling, prayer, times of pausing, getting fresh information, taking time in your journal, taking breaks. Why? Once we observe and we move into describing it, and I like to spend time on encouraging you in description, because once we get into description, when you name it, you can understand the next course of action. So here's some comments coming in. Thanks so much for sharing. Describing, Dr. Paul Brown says, describing enables me to make adjustments. Absolutely, when we describe it. Thank you for sharing that. That is good. Describe in detail, being specific as possible. Absolutely. Elder Jackson says, self-awareness is key. When we are aware, Key. I like the word key. We have access. We can open up other areas of our lives when we are aware. Thanks for sharing that. So I would encourage us, take some time in observation and description. And then the third point would be what I call participation. Now, when you describe it, don't judge it. When you're describing it, refuse that judging. Sometimes we move into immediate evaluation of ourselves. And a lot of times it's because we think, emotions are good, emotions are bad. There's a pendulum. Emotions are just that. Mindsets are exactly that. Mentalities are just that. And so when we're in observation and then we move into description, when we're in description, say what you see, notate what you notice. Those are my two takeaways. Say what you see and notate what you notice. That means you are removing ourselves from putting a value judgment on where we are, what we're describing it. All right. We don't want to get into that. There's a story of a man who was on the subway in New York with his children. And there was a lady sitting next to him, and the children were just out of control, just jumping all over the place. And they were hanging all on the different bars. And the lady just kept looking at him like, I just can't believe it, in her mind. Like, what are you doing? You need to control your children. What's going on? And so, they were getting louder and louder, and they would just seem like they were just all over the place. And so she said to him, can you, sir, just control your kids? Because they're just out of control. And I mean, I want to have a nice, peaceful subway ride. And he said, I really apologize. Their mother just passed in the hospital. Now, interesting enough, she put a value judgment on their behaviors, but was not aware what was really going on. So it's important when we are looking at ourselves that we say what you see and notate what you notice. That was one of the most challenging exercises I've had to do in my own life when I've looked at areas that seem to be not in where they need to be. Now, think about this. We do this in our physical bodies, right? If I note that there's an area in my physical body that I need to make adjustments in, we say what we see. Oh, look at my stomach. Oh, look at this. We talk about it. We describe it. We say what we notice, and then we can make changes from there. Why don't we do that in our minds? Why don't we do that about our emotions? So it's important that we say what we see and notate what we notice without putting a value judgment on it. Because now what that means is I'm not centering myself. I immediately move to evaluation, and then I can lose my focus on how I need to center myself. All right. So it's important that we spend time in observation and in description. Let's also move to the third point. Here is participation, which is how now that I know, because I've responded in observation and description, I'm now proactive. So now I'm in a place where I know how I want to respond going forward. So here, this is key, because once we're in observation and we're in description, then we can participate better. We can interact in a more productive, centered way, more centered. Um, in participating, we become more proactive. Why? Because we've observed ourselves, we've described it, we've say what we see, we notate what we notice, and then I see these areas, and then now that leads us to a path of personal transformation. I'm sharing with you a few things that I've had to learn in my own awareness journey. When you notice it, and then the first thing sometimes we do is, oh, well, what about just taking a step back and observing? Taking a step back and having a description without any judgment, without a value judgment, without any self-criticism, right? Without any criticism and being critical of ourselves and saying, you know what, I've observed it, I've named it, and now you're empowered. That's how you enter into empowerment. All right. This helps us. so that we can continue to focus on being attentive. All right. So let's take a pause here for a moment. And as you're looking at the three areas, I want you to just take a time and think about observation, description, and participation, which is about awareness and attention. And let's just meditate without any self judgment, without any type of evaluative feedback and critical negative self talk. You're empowered. You are empowered because you have tools of observation and description to lead you to participation. And that's where that transformation journey is. So let's take about a 30-second pause here. I want you to meditate on your empowerment. You have observation skills. You have description skills. You have participation skills. And so, folks, when we are in these areas, we are empowerment. Now, I want to also want you to think through the fact that it costs to pay attention. It costs to pay attention. We call that a reflective sense of self. So, in paying attention, if you don't pay attention, it's going to cost you. And if we do pay attention, it will cost us. Either way, there is a cost or a price to pay for the attentiveness or the lack of it. So I want to encourage you also, as you're in observation, your worth stays constant, even when your emotions go up and go down. Your worth is consistent. Who you are is consistent, even when your emotions may be up or down or left or right. Your worth, who you are, stays constant, even when your emotions go up and go down. That is why we're spending time on TCOY. Taking care of ourselves says that because of the value that I am, even if it's a down moment or an up moment, who I am is still constant. I'm still who I am. And so it costs me to pay attention. And that's why we started out with centering ourselves. These are empowerment tools. These are empowerment skill sets. These are reflective sense of self actions that we can take. And perhaps I would encourage you do that in a journal. There's an area that you're like, okay, this is getting to me in my mind, or something that's nagging at me emotionally. Something like a splinter, and you can't get it out of your finger. And you're like, okay, this is not, it seems like it's not changing. Your worth stays constant, even when your emotions go up and down, even when the circumstances are not changing that are impacting you. All right. Somebody earlier said about inner world, the inner area, your worth stays constant. And so through the whole month of May, as we're addressing mental health, all right, it's not, it is about knowing the value, knowing worth, staying constant, even when there are good and there are bad. Your worth, the core of who you are, is incredibly worthy and valuable. And so this is important that we're really focusing on this in the month of May. And so I think if we all take a step back, imagine if the whole world took a step back, if our entire nation took a step back and says, we're going to pause today, and I'm going to start looking at observing my mindset. I'm going to observe my mentality. I'm going to observe my emotions. I'm going to step back and observe my feeling, and why do I feel the way that I feel? Why am I thinking the way that I'm thinking? Why am I responding? What's going on in my inner world? If we do that in our physical health, then it's important that we also do that in our emotional health. So your worth stays constant, even when your emotions go up and they go down. Your worth is constant. Now, also, there's another quote here that I wrote down that I thought was interesting. Not embracing why you and how you feel is like putting electrical tape over the check engine light. If you know that the check engine light is on, what do? You check the engine. And so By not embracing why and how you feel, it's like putting the electrical tape on top of the check engine light and just ignoring it. Something's going on with the engine. I need to check it, but I'd rather just put tape over it. So that's why it's important for us to embrace why and how we feel and dig deep into that. Let's share a little bit. Audrey Davis says, I have also find it helpful to ask myself questions to further clarify what am I observing and describing, and or to challenge a faulty view. I can have tendency to assign judgments about what I'm observing, and that judgment thusly informs my descriptions. Thank you for sharing that. Good. So I want us to take a few minutes again, and let's go back to our original focus for this afternoon's tea time. All right. Observation, description, and then participation. 3 areas of TCOY: taking care of ourselves. If there's a check engine light on, go and get the diagnosis. If there's a check engine light on, pull aside and address it. If there's a check engine light on, I'm not going to take the proverbial, electrical tape and just, I'll get to it later. Okay. I remember my dad when we would get low on gas. Oh, we're riding by faith. Growing up, it is like, we better go over here and get some gas. And we get gas, we wouldn't run out. But I remember how important it was. Is there are indicators that we all have. So the takeaway is, for me, is knowing my indicators, knowing when my check engine light is on, and the importance of checking your engine light and how important it is for you to not put tape on it. All right. Here's another thing. The magnifying glass of observation helps me describe the issue so I can participate to making refined adjustments. All right. Paying attention to the check engine light is essential. Absolutely, it is. So, last thing I want to encourage us to do in our last few moments, as it relates to our mental health awareness, is discussing how your emotions are talking to you, what's happening inside when you and I are taking time for observation and description. So, emotions are materializers, masqueraders, or they're messengers. And so, based upon our observation and based upon our description, will determine how we participate with what's happening in our minds, with our emotions and our thoughts. See, emotions, that's energy in motion, right? Energy that's in motion, as some people say. So, emotions are messengers, they communicate a message. We we observe, we have observation so that we can decipher that message. They're messengers, materializers, and masqueraders. So when emotions are messengers, pause and say, what are my emotions communicating to me? What are they communicating to me? Mhm. What's materializing in my life because of that emotional state? Because certain emotions release certain chemicals into our bodies, right? So it's important that we take time to in observation so we can decipher the message that's being given to us. And then what's materializing in our lives, or what is masquerading? What are we just putting aside for a later day and say, I'll get to it? You know, the phrases we say, well, it is what it is. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera. That's life. It'll never, all the other things that many times we say that are not necessarily positive or negative, they just come out because it's how we're coping with life and circumstances. So again, we are in observation. Why are we in observation? Because we want to get to the place where we understand that emotions are messengers, and we can understand that message when we're in observation. And then we can see if whether or not it's materializing or it's masquerading. And so emotions can become masqueraders when we don't look at them. They become materializers when they can come into our life in certain uh, emotional states can impact, thoughtful states can impact our bodies, right? And that this is again not negative or positive. It's just is. So this is neutral in what we're discussing today. So I want you to think through emotions are messengers. What message is being sent? What's materializing in your life? And perhaps what's masquerading. All right. These are empowerment tools. So let's take a pause here as we're about to wrap up our tea time today. And what is your takeaway? What is your takeaway from tea time today? All right. What's your takeaway? Please feel to share. Please feel to share those in the comments. What's your takeaway? And again, somebody from the science area, serotonin, dopamine, and adrenaline. Yep, those are released. So emotions are materializers, messengers, and masqueraders. What's your takeaway today in our tea time regarding observation, description, and participation? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So we have our takeaways, folks, and so I want you to encourage you. Hopefully, this our tea time today. We're thinking about our awareness and attention and the importance of that. More aware, self-aware. My emotions and how I respond. I have a lot of work to do. Michelle, we all have work to do. You're not alone in that. All right, we all have work to do. So know that you're in good company in our tea time community. Pause. Mm. It is important to be present, observe, and be aware of what my emotions are saying to me. Right. Emotions are messages. Uh-huh. Be fully present when centering ourselves. Any other takeaways? Hmm. Worth in spite of emotions remains consistent. That's right. You're constant. And so when we begin to recognize that, then we begin to make the adjustments necessary in observation and in description, then participation. Anyone else? Takeaways, points of application. All right. As those comments are coming in, last two areas I want to focus on specifically is I want to just remind you Carmela Head has a virtual empowerment, self-development, and time management mini class coming up on May 22nd. It's called Let's Go Lady, Get Your Time Right. For those of you women that are out there that need to grab a hold of your time management, your self-development, this is an incredible session from 1 to 3:30 p.m. The cost is $50, and Carmela Head is your host and help you to maximize your time. Practical insights on taking charge of your calendar. This is a great time to do this, especially as you move into the summer, to put those types of practices and methodologies in place as you go, break for the summer and then move into the fall. So I just want to share it with you. Please reach out to her at her website, transformational-moment.com, and you click on the classes and you can contact her with more information. Let's see what else is going on here. More comments that are coming in to make some adjustments. All right. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Observe, describe, and participate in for my own mental health and healing. Thank you. So I hope that this has been very helpful for everyone today. Yes, Teresa, thank you for sharing. Teresa was a participant in the Lady Get Your Time Right class. So thank you for that plug. Appreciate that. Absolutely. What else is being shared here? Caring, the cost is caring for myself. I cannot pour out from an empty vessel. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. Appreciate it. And of course, Carmela, she put that's it right there. So if you will, please make sure that you can go to her site. I'll put that in there as well. And lastly, coming up this coming Thursday, I have my Change Virtual Cafe, Conversations in Creative Spaces. And my guest on Thursday at 7, Kimberly Sinclair, she's an HR leader and an author and empowerment coach. She's a contributing writer to a book called One Day at a Time, Intentional Declarations, Affirmations, and Encouragement for Women. That's this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. So some of you have seen my Change Cafes, and this book comes at a good time, right before Mother's Day. Mothers, women, this will be a good opportunity to have the book here, even though it's declarations, affirmations, and encouragement for women. I bought it, one, not only to support it, but there's some content in here that is very rich. And we want to talk about declarations, affirmations, and encouragement for women. So if you need to be encouraged, you want to be strengthened, and have some perspectives from other women and their journeys, this book was incredible, and I enjoyed reading it myself. It gives you, daily 1 word a day, goal setting, from declarations, affirmations. This is a incredible devotional. We need one of these for men. Okay, but I'm enjoying this because it helps me locate where I am, and I can be able to see the daily devotional, the daily mindset. So one day at a time, I'll be interviewing. She's one of the contributing writers to that, and we're going to dive into some conversations about how do you affirm ourselves and what do we do to mutually encourage each other, especially in the season that our world is in. It's important to have that. So that's just coming Thursday at 7:00. Again, I want you to please tune in to that session. All right. And then, of course, remind you concerning the Lady Get Your Time Right. All right. So thanks, everybody, for coming on today. I hope that Tea Time Tuesday today was encouraging to you. Hopefully you got some good takeaways. So excited about just being able to host this. So I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully we'll have some other guests perhaps. So don't know yet. We're still confirming. But it'd be nice to just engage in some other mental health conversation as we TCOY. Take care of yourself. All right, folks. Thanks so much for being on again today. And we appreciate your time. Hope that you have a good day. Take some time to reset yourself, build that resilience, and we'll talk with you soon. Have a good day. And remember, I am Renewal.
Hello, my name is Carmela E. Head.
Hello, everybody. I'm Prophet Hope Milton.
Hi, I'm Patrick J. Brown, Executive Director of Culture and Context of the Renewal Center.
Here at the Renewal Center, it is the center for prophetic art, thought, voice, and action.
The one thing I love about the Renewal Center is the core values, which we're revealing Christ, renewing minds, we're restoring lives, and reforming community. And we know that the only way that we can do that is to reveal Christ to everyone.
That's right. If any person is in Christ, that person will be and can be a new creation. You've been created to reveal Christ. That's right. Christ in you, being born from above, being born again, being generated from a higher place, which is Christ. In you, the hope of glory.
And when I think about renewal, I think about continual growth. We all have the capacity. We all have the very much capacity to move forward and to expand ourselves. So that's what growth and renewal is all about here at the Renewal Center.
So excited to be here. I hope that you will continue to connect. This is an awesome vision. And I'm just excited about everything that God is doing in the Renewal Center here in Concord, North Carolina.
I am.
And I am
Renewal.